Don't piss Coach off. So, all right, guys. Again, game 8. Season's going fast, one at a time, and we're ready to go. So just leave it for questions from you guys.
That we get it out of the way. Izzy and Jordan, any update with those guys?
It's gonna be a game time decision. I wish I could tell you more today, but we'll just see. We still got 48 hours. That's what we're counting on. They just got to feel good, and we got to get the clearing from the doctors.
Can you play without practicing?
Jordan probably could. I would say Izzy would be maybe a little shaker, just being a baby. Just like Izzy needs reps, and I'd say Jordan is a guy that probably could go out and he knows probably every position. He's just really smart, so he knows all spots. So I would say Jordan probably could, and we'll just make game time decision. And if we need Izzy, then we'll figure it out.
What's the confidence you have in the depth at both those positions?
Jalen Barnes had a great week at that called the zebra position, slot receiver position, which is a little more than 3 receivers. So he's had a good week. I mean, you got Tayseer back. We got a lot of playmakers out there, so he'll still have his weapons. And then at tailback, Rodney Hammond's had another good week. Vince is good, and so we got 2 back there that you feel really good about, and Daniel Carter's played well. He's gotten some reps at fullback, and he's been impressive. I probably should have mentioned him earlier. Been really impressive with his number one, his attitude, his selflessness, as far as just getting an opportunity to have a role. And he's made some big plays at that fullback position, but he's just a big tailback, and he does a nice job.
What stands out about Tyler Van Dyke?
I just think he keeps getting better every week. He doesn't make many mistakes. I think he had 2 picks against North Carolina. That's it. So he hadn't turned the ball over in the games he's played this year. That's helped him, and helped them stay in games. King was turning it over earlier in the year, whether it be a sack fumble or a pick. Tyler Van Dyke has not done that. He's made good decisions. Even one of the picks against North Carolina was, they tried to run a slant route and it got tipped, and it was either tipped by a lineman or went in the hands of a receiver and then bounced out. So it was kind of just an ugly one, which you wouldn't put that on a quarterback. So he makes good decisions. He's got great hands, and I think he's just very composed. He just seems he's a guy that we've got to make sure we contain and mix the coverages up with him.
When we talked to Randy Bates this week, one thing he said was he wasn't sure this offseason how good his defense would be because Kenny just kept picking them apart during practices. Is that something that you've seen translate yourself with the defense? It's like they've practiced so hard against that quarterback who's now one of the best in college football, and now they get to go out and face guys who aren't putting up those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. I always say this, you don't know when you're in camp, you're in spring ball, which we've got a spring ball this year. Is it the defense is that bad or he's that good? So I think it's a combination of both. 7-on-7 seems to be the hard one when there's no pressure on the quarterback. That seems like where you're like, why are we even doing this? But Kenny's been outstanding, and the defense gets better every week. And again, when you face one of the best, and you got receivers, it's not like you're going out there going, oh man, we're going to face better receivers this week than we have. We certainly have the receivers that can test our guys during the week.
What first impressed you about Bartholomew, and how has he progressed since?
The first thing that impressed me about him, the very first thing that impressed me about him was he had a beard. Being honest with you, because I was like, the ball he plays in was not very good out there, and then I zoomed him. It's a Zoom commitment, and I zoomed him, and I was like, and you wanted a mature tight end that you felt like you'd come in. I didn't want to see any kid that hadn't shaved, and it certainly wasn't him. I mean, I was like, as soon as I saw his face, I was like, okay, I like what this guy looks like. And sometimes you got to go off the looks.
Better than his hands and his blocking?
Well, I mean, again, like I said, the tape was good, but it wasn't, but you're just worried about the competition.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a heck of a football player, and we had hand. You saw that, but it's like, what's going to happen when it's the competition's better? What if what if his team had to play Central Catholic? Does he look as good? Those are all the things you look at. Like the competition is always concern. But the beard sold me. He knows that too.
And obviously, Kenny's first start was against Miami. This will be his last time playing. I mean, what do you remember about that game in 2017? I wasn't here to cover it, so what do you remember?
It's been a long time ago. Was I here? I remember the sucker play. I remember the sucker play, but I remember the loss more than 2 years ago here at home. I remember the loss at the end of the game when we didn't execute properly on defense, and we really shut them down the entire game in Heinz Field and gave up the win. I remember that one, but I missed, this we call it the sucker play, which was fake the handoff, and Kenny's the only guy that knows, and he took, everybody remembers that play. So other than that, I don't remember many other plays.
In terms of his preparation that week, though, I mean, he was on the scout team for most of the season, right? For him to be able to come in like that and control himself the way he did.
I mean, that was his fourth game, that he had been, preparing. I think his first game might have been Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech when we had the 4 downs from the 1. He threw to Jester Weah. I think that might have been the first game that he played in the second half, and then North Carolina State, I think he had some action, and I don't remember who the other one was. That was his fourth game and his only start that year. And again, he was prior to the Syracuse game, he was on the scout team the whole year. So that was a heck of a game by him, and it just showed you who he was, the moxie he has at quarterback.
What about Miami last year? You talked about that game.
I don't remember.
But I mean, your defense has shown improvement, like you said, week to week. Where the RPO was a problem, now other teams have tried to copycat it, and it hasn't hurt you. What are there any lessons from last year that you guys are like, hey?
There's some lessons for sure. I mean, they didn't really hit us on I don't even call that an RPO. I mean, it is a kind of an RPO. They hit us, which you don't really see many of them. And again, part of the problem was different guys playing different positions. We had some issues at linebacker, and Servassier was just a baby. He's playing to the field. He never played to the field, and he gets hit on what we call a T shoot. And I would say this week we've hit about 25 to 30 T shoots or F shoots when they're sending a tight end up the middle. Mallory went up the middle a couple times last year and hit us. And he comes through the line of scrimmage. It looks like a run. Our guys are going to get the tailback on the fake, and we just got to hit the guy. And there should be a tight end come through the line of scrimmage free this week. So we didn't see that coming into that game, but that was something that Rhett Lashley did a nice job of just slipping guys through. And they're always going to have a play. We'll see maybe at a different formation. We've worked every possible formation you could possibly work it, because that's really all they had on us is the F shoots and T shoots. And with Knighton back there, their tailback, who's runs a 4.3, 4.2 maybe. He is fast. He ran one. He got a T shoot on North Carolina State for a touchdown for 63 yards or whatever it was. If you guys saw that, he is special. He's fast and he's full time. He's the guy taking all the reps, and he can catch it out of the backfield. He can run it up the middle.
Coming off a win as big as last week was for you guys, how do you make sure this ship kind of remains steady this week?
It's my job. I mean, the ship's always rocking a little bit, right? I mean, it's never easy when you have a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that when they leave us, and they're all probably headed back up to campus and deal with all the nice festivities on a nice fall day, and in October they're getting ready for Halloween parties and trying to figure out they're probably trying to figure out what Halloween mask and costume they're going to wear. Who knows? I guess Halloween's a big deal on Pitt's campus, but it's hard. I think the ship has been good this week, and you find out on Saturdays if they're all locked in, but we think they're locked in, and it's never easy because you got so many kids. I mean, I look out the window of the Steelers, they got 53 and they're grown men, and it's a little bit easier when they go home to their 2 children or 3 children and to their wife. Our guys are going, I don't know what they're doing when they go up there, so just trying to keep them in bed check and make sure we can keep them in control.
Do you say anything different? Is there kind of any message, or do you kind of look to your veterans guys like Kenny to say things this week to be like, hey, we can't let up after what we did last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you don't even like that word "let up," but you try to eliminate the negative words. But it's just like, hey, we just keep going. We haven't done anything. That's the thing, is we haven't done anything. What have you done? I mean, if you lose this weekend, what does last weekend mean, or the weekend before? That doesn't mean anything. It's just like, okay, here we are again, trying to come back from adversity. So I think our kids realize that. I think they've worked their tail off for a long time for this opportunity to play in big games, at Heinz Field, and we had one last week, and we got another one. And there's no time to continue to think about what's happened in the past. It's all about the future. And I tell them every week before the game, nobody cares what you did last week, and they really don't, because it's all what you do today. And I think that's the critical thing for our guys to understand.
Is there a common thread with Miami's defense over the last 3 games?
They're just fast and physical, and they play hard. I mean, Manny's got them playing playing fast. So they are who they are. They play 4 down. I expect to play. I expect to see them try to man us up across the board and see if they can wire us up at the line of scrimmage and see if we can make a play.
You guys like to play to get manned up?
I mean,
Pass catchers?
if I was a receiver, I'd like man, right? Because if you get loose, you got a chance. So I'll take that matchup. Bring it on.
Izzy,
We like man and zone. We like whatever we gotta like both.
if Izzy can't go, and obviously AJ hit the portal this week, where's Rodney in terms of pass protection playing an expanded role this week?
Rodney's great, and again, I'll just mentioned AJ Davis is a great kid, and it was obviously a little bit disappointing, but he's got to do what he's got to do. His playing time is limited. He saw those young guys playing a lot, and didn't see himself playing again. And the thing with what happened to AJ, and it really is part of answering your question is, he was out for 3 or 4 weeks. And AJ was the guy we trusted. You just you knew he would be in the right place. You knew he was going to protect Kenny, and that was priority going into the season. But then when he was out, then it gave those guys more reps and gave them a chance to be trusted, and they were trusted. So then when AJ came back, it's kind of like, hey, these guys are really fast. They're really elusive. They run hard, and guess what? Now we trust them. And so those weeks really hurt him and helped those young guys get ready. So we do trust Rodney in protection. He's done a nice job.
A lot of it, everyone talks about Kenny Pickett, and he's number 1 on Mel Kiper's board. But one thing that we often hear is how prepared he is, and all the things that he does to get prepared for a game. What do you do as a head coach when you go into the week? Are there times when you sit down with him personally to go over things, and what do you see?
I'd mess him up if I did that, Chris. Come on. No, I let Coach Whipple take care of that. Too many cooks in the kitchen mess up the pasta, don't they, Jerry?
Yes, sir.
Don't get the gravy, the sauce, get it going. Don't mess it up. And Coach Whipple does a great job, and that's my job is to make sure I got coaches I trust to go do their job. If Kenny's got a question, the only time I talk to him is Friday night dinner. Kenny, what do you think? How you feel? Just talk life and mom and dad coming to the game, that kind of thing. And other than that, we just kind of, Coach Whipple's got him.
Pat, we see Kalajdzic make some impressive plays almost every week. What's the next step for him? Is it more consistency? How can he take his game to another level?
I don't know. I mean, that's a great question when you get Coach Partridge on the side, but I'd have to really answer your question. I'd have to look. We give these guys grades every week. They're either ACC. We think, hey, we can win the ACC with him. It's winning. And it can be low winning or high winning. It can be average, high average, or low average, and it's losing. And some guys get losing grades, at the end of the week, and those obviously aren't the players of the week. But I would imagine that Kalajdzic had a winning grade. If I, again, just guessing, if in 7 weeks, I'd say he's probably had it 6 out of 7, maybe 7 out of 7. So what does he do to take the next step? I know everybody likes the flashy play. I mean, he can only do so much, and he's got 2 linemen on him all the time. He's a D tackle. I mean, he's got some Aaron Donald-ish to him. He's quick twitch. He's a great pass rusher. But he's getting double teamed a lot. So if he doesn't make a play tomorrow, it doesn't mean he's not playing well. So it's different than a lot of different positions. Those D tackles, they got the hardest job on. He's 285 pounds, and he's got 600 pounds blocking him every snap. 600 pounds. That's a mismatch in there. Wouldn't you think? 600. So that's an issue.
What do you remember about Kalajdzic out of high school? What advantage does it coming from a place like Northwestern to have that kind of talent, and does that give him a leg up at least early in his career?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, it comes obviously from a hotbed, and I just remember being just a super kid, and a kid character-wise that we wanted in our program. You wanted him athletically in our program, and it was more about his character. He's such a team guy, and again, that's what we want. We're looking for guys that aren't worried about themselves; they're worried about the team, and I think that's why we've had success. It's not always about, Bill Belichick had a quote. It's not about the best 53-man roster. It's about the right 53. And I've always loved that quote because it is. It's about the right people. It's not about having, roster full of, 4 and 5 star guys that are the best 53. It's about the guys that are playing together and understand the role. So Kalajdzic is that type of guy.
LaShawn McCoy was at the game last week, and a lot of Pitt players are tweeting about the team. What's just been the direct contact with you and maybe some former players kind of encouraging you guys about this season?
I mean, you get texts. I mean, your phone blows up when you win it like that, and you wish it blew up all the time. You know, even when you have a tough loss, I mean, Tom Izzo would always text me only, you know, after a loss. You know, I don't need to hear about hear about it from the wins. But you know, we've got a lot of players reaching out, and all former players. And you got Dane Jackson on the sideline right there. Some of them are right there with you. But you know, nobody cares what's going to happen this week, and that's where the focus is. Text messages, phones.
Did you text Izzo back when he would lose again?
Yeah. They play a lot more games, but no, Tom Izzo's a good man. Should be in the top 25 too.
Anything else? We good?
We good?